I want my solution to be open source. I want it to be not tied to any vendor, but people forgot that vendors are actually helping your business by saving a lot of time on things you don't have to do.
Nitzan, I'm excited to be able to chat with you today and hear more about Epsagon. To begin, can you share in 5 seconds, very brief, what is Epsagon?
Yeah, sure. Epsagon is a SaaS platform helping developers and DevOps teams to monitor and troubleshoot their applications in production, in cloud environments and microservices technologies. So that's what types of applications our customers are running.
Where did this begin for you? What problem did you initially see? Were you in DevOps yourself and then you saw this problem? How did it begin?
So both me and my co-founder were in engineering technology space for about 15 years or so. And a lot of our experience is from the Israeli intelligence, where we did a lot of work in cybersecurity, embedded systems, reverse engineering, like very low-level techie stuff. And as R&D managers there and cybersecurity managers, we developed very complex systems that were, and we had very limited tools to actually go ahead and figure out what's going on there and troubleshoot issues and all that stuff. So we definitely know the problem firsthand, not necessarily in cloud environments or stuff like Kubernetes. Like the technologies we used there was a bit less advanced, but we definitely know the pain and the value of having the right solution. So when we started the company, we looked into cloud infrastructure as a huge market with a lot of technology challenges. And we spoke with probably 50 different companies, from small startups to large enterprises. And it was very clear that those people using technologies like containers, Kubernetes, serverless are still using the same logs and metrics to figure out what's going on, and these are not the right tools for a distributed system. So they basically said over and over again, that it just takes them too much time to troubleshoot a production problem, and they don't understand what's going on there, and they want to do it in minutes, but it can take them even hours. So the impact on the business and the developer velocity is very large. That's why it's such an important problem.
Would you say, because now that there's so many different components and segments and elements that are needing to be used and integrated, that you really do need some sort of system to be able to manage and be able to troubleshoot at this point? Did I capture that correctly or no?
Yeah, the new environment requires the right solutions. Like you can't keep using the same dashboards and logs when you have a 50 or 500 or even 5,000 components in your system. Mm-hmm. It's not the same as having 1 or 2 services, which is, like what people used to have.
Mm-hmm. Your mainstay, what would you say is a real differentiator for your platform that someone would say, wow, okay, I see where I would want to use? Maybe give me a good use case.
Yeah, so a use case can be a company that's now launching their new digital platform, for example, an e-commerce website. It can be a retail company or any company with a web application. So they decided to go into the cloud, for example, AWS, and use microservices like Kubernetes, containers, and so on. So Epsagon is being there for them even from the beginning, when they just develop their code, to the moment they deploy, and especially in production when the code is running and generating revenue. And the reason they would like to use it is that the alternative is basically, one option is not to change anything and keep using the same tools, but we can very easily show that the troubleshooting time, or the MTTR, mean time to resolution, goes up extremely fast when you don't have the right solution, as well as the developer velocity that's going down. So you really need to change something. And the other alternative is to build something in-house, which is, for example, coding using something like open tracing to go in your code and really build this distributed tracing solution yourself. But this can take weeks, months, or even more. And unless you're a company that is, knows exactly what they need, and those companies are Netflix, Uber, Airbnb, yeah, those companies are building a lot of in-house. But for most companies, it doesn't make sense to do that, and it's to get an automated solution out of the box that will just work. And so Epsagon is exactly that. You plug it in a few minutes and you're up and running with very little implementation cost and maintenance cost.
What feature are you most excited about that you guys have recently released?
Excited about the ability to generate dashboards now in Epsagon. It's something we released a few weeks ago based on tracing data. So that means that, of course, in every monitoring product, you can create dashboards of some metrics, but Epsagon collects not just metrical data, but actually trace data, which we call it trace data, which is actually payloads of different APIs, requests, responses, and so on. So that means you can have Epsagon plugged into your system in a matter of 5 minutes, for example. And then what you're going to get is really high contextual data of your system. For example, JSON messages of HTTP request and response, information for different API calls like Stripe or Auth0. So you can now have all this data in Epsagon with very little effort, and then create a dashboard that shows you, for example, how much money is going through your Stripe API call. So that's something very unique, because to do that, you need to, like, the alternative today is to use really a very manual tool that you would send all this data. But with Epsagon, you can easily create both performance-related dashboards and business-related dashboards. So that's something pretty revolutionary, actually.
What tip or education or anything, knowledge that you would want to share with DevOps teams out there that they should be thinking about when it comes to this space and how they're managing their different services?
I think there is some kind of a hype today about open source solution and these kind of things. And many people are kind of talking about it. Yeah, I want my solution to be open source. I want it to be not tied to any vendor, but people forgot that vendors are actually helping your business by saving a lot of time on things you don't have to do. And while we see all the companies talk about, those open source options like open tracing, we are using it actually under the hood ourselves. But what we see is that people are talking about it, but very rarely they go ahead and do a large scale project and deployment using open tracing across the board. It's just too much work, too much implementation and maintenance. So instead of, getting hung with all the recent buzzwords, it's better to think about the business and what's really a good ROI. And actually on a monitoring tool, it's very easy to show ROI, because every problem has a cost. Every time a developer troubleshoots an issue has a cost, like their time has a price. So usually it's very easy to justify buying a solution versus building it. Just like you're not going to build your own finance or HR software, right? There is no reason that you will spend time on things that are not core to your business.
Time is a finite resource that you can't get back, and you need to be very cautious of where you're spending it. So it's nice to have a tool, it sounds like this, for DevOps teams to make sure they're not wasting their time on something they don't need to.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, what your business model, is it a monthly, yearly subscription? Is that how it works?
Yeah, we do both. It's typically in the larger contract, it's going to be yearly. Mm-hmm. But we do have a self-serve option through the website that everyone can just go into and use, starting from like $100 a month. It gets you all the way to where you can actually run, production scale applications. However, in our enterprise accounts or like the big growth accounts, they need typically much more than that. So that's why we have another, enterprise tier, which we also provide different levels of support, custom implementations, scale, and so on, and more flexible pricing too.
Got it. Where can people go to learn more, and what should they do? What can they do as a first step?
Of course, the website. We try to have it as detailed as possible and all the information about the product. We also have a live demo environment that you can play with on the website. We have a demo video available on YouTube. So many webinars and talks that we did. Some customer case studies are actually a really good way to understand the value of the tool. We have some great names like Deloitte, Vonage, many big companies, as well as startups. And then you can just sign up and try it yourself. You get 2 weeks of free trial, high scale, that you can use. So that's what many of our customers did initially.
Have you seen a company using AI, machine learning, or other technology to transform the way we live, work, and do business? Go to uptechreport.com and let us know.